Dear friends, I wonder whether you learnt anything new during lockdown. As we all found ourselves having to stay at home, there was certainly plenty of advice about how to make use of the extra time we now had on our hands. Take up an instrument, learn a language, hone our cooking skills, rediscover the joys of PE with Joe Wicks. I have to confess that in spite of good resolutions in the beginning, I haven't actually done any of those things. But I have learnt something new. I've learnt the really important truth that it's okay not to be okay. I suspect that my reaction to the weeks of lockdown has been shared by a lot of people, that it's provoked a mixture of emotions. I've had some really good days, enjoying the slower pace of life, our garden, the peace and quiet on a country walk. I've had some fairly boring days, following the same daily exercise route round the block, checking for supermarket delivery slots on the computer yet again. But I've also had some really difficult days when I felt overwhelmed with anxiety, when I felt sad and weary, days when I've wondered where God was in all of this. And yet, on those difficult days, why is it so hard to admit that we're not okay? Why is our automatic response so often to insist, I'm fine, even though inside we know that we're not? A telephone conversation with a close friend gave me pause for thought. She confided that, as a Christian, she felt really guilty about admitting to being anxious, because surely this showed a lack of faith. And I realised how easy it was to fall into this way of thinking. It was shortly after this that I listened to a Spring Harvest seminar by the Christian writer and speaker Patrick Reagan. He was talking about dealing with anxiety and expressing his conviction that many Christians need to learn that it's okay not to be okay. To understand that anxiety and doubt are not a sign of weakness or lack of faith. And he pointed to the Psalms of Lament, in which the psalmist cries out to God in pain and doubt before coming to a point of renewed trust in him. Here's an example in these verses from Psalm 13. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. Lockdown may be easing, but there will always be difficult days. And I've learnt that God isn't judging us for a lack of faith on those days when we struggle. He's our loving Heavenly Father who longs for us to cry out to him, to tell him how we're feeling, and then to allow him to hold us in his arms. As it says in 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 7, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. It's okay not to be okay.